Welcome back, ladies and gents. Today we're going to learn how to play the song Blue Angel by Plini and Nolly GetGood. Alright, let's first start off with the first section of the song, where we're playing notes on the A string and the B string and kind of switching it up between the two strings. We have 4 on the A string with our index finger, and we are interplaying that note with notes on the B string, which are 4, 5, and 7. So we're playing alternate picking or tremolo picking on the 7th note right here with our pinky on the B string, and also on the 5th note right here with our ring finger on the B string. I like to start off the riff with downstrokes so that when I get to the tremolo picking section, it's less awkward to alternate pick it. If I were to use alternate picking where I'm downstroking then upstroking, it feels kind of awkward. It feels awkward to start an alternate picking or tremolo picking run with a upstroke. Okay, so from there we have the following section. Right here we have a chord, sounds nice and bright. The pattern for our left hand is index finger on the 4th fret A string, pinky on the 6th fret on the D string. We're using the flesh of our pinky to mute the G string so that you don't hear it as we're playing. With our middle finger we're on the B string, 4th fret, and then we have open note high E. From here you are palm muting the first 3 notes, and from there, so you're descending, palm muting the first 3 notes, and then you're reversing the pattern. Alright, now for the next section. So right here we have an interplay again between the low A string and power chords throughout the fretboard. The first power chord is 14-16 right here on the A and on the D and G string. I played with my index finger and pinky, but you can do it with your ring finger instead of your pinky if that's more comfortable for you. So we have open note twice, and then open note again. Right here we have the power chord 11-13 with a bend. Then we continue on with the same pattern. Instead we have the power chords 9-11 right here, and then 6-8 with a bend. And then we have a power chord here which we slide onto 3 different positions. So that's 2-4, 4-6, 6-8. From here we are repeating the same pattern again. And then we have, of course, the variation in the riff here. Okay, so this is actually my favorite part of the riff because you're using these different chords and it sounds very bright. And it's played in a creative way, I would say. So let's take a look at the left hand, what we're doing there. We have the following finger positionings. That's 2-4 on the D and G string. And then we have open notes B and E, and open note low A. That's the first chord right there. So what happens is we're playing open note A, palm muting open note A, and then we're going to play the first half of the chord, which is 2-4 with a downstroke, and then playing with an upstroke the open notes E and A. It gives it a really nice sound and effect to it. So once we finish that upstroke, we're going to then downstroke down onto palm muting the open note A again, and also muting all of the strings to stop the chord from ringing out. Alright, so that's the next part we're doing. So we finished on the upstroke, now we palm muted the low A string, and then we have here with our middle finger on the 4th fret barring the low E and A string, and then we're adding right here, again we're splitting the chord in 2 parts as we're playing it. The next part here is with our pinky, while you're holding that bar, with our pinky onto the 6th note on the D string, and then with our index finger a nice little stretch all the way to the 2 on the G. Then you have open note B and E. So it would look all together something like this. Alright, so it's a very difficult chord, at least for me it was, so you have to really practice it slowly and make sure to maintain those positions, especially with your middle finger and your index finger. Sometimes the flesh of your index finger is going to mute the B string, but when you're jamming along to it, you don't really notice it that much, and it's not that big of a deal if sometimes you don't hit that open note B. Alright, so in the last part here we have with our pinky, which is part of the shape of the previous chord, we're going to slide onto 7, and then we're going to use our index finger to play 6 on the G. Then with our middle finger we're going to slide from 5 to 9, and then play open note high E. And you want those 2 notes to ring out together. Okay, so if you're only playing the rhythm section here and not playing the lead, for the second repetition of that entire section, you actually end it differently. So the first way we ended that riff, we resolved it with this lick. But the second time around, you actually resolve it differently. So you do the whole song and dance, and then you end it with this one. So that's open note, high E. You're going to slide on the B string from 4 to 2 with your index finger. Then with your ring finger, you're going to play on the G string 4, slide to 6. Preferably you want it to ring out as well. But again, if you don't always catch it as you're jamming along, it's not the biggest problem, right? Alright, so let's now move on to the lead section of the song. Alright, so in the beginning, we're starting off on the B string. We're going to slide from 4 to 7, back to 4. Hammer on to 5. Once you have that hammer on, you palm mute 5, pull off 5 to 4. Right here we have palm muting, 6 4 6 4. Then you're gonna hammer on from 4 to 6, vibrato, palm mute 6, 6 again, vibrato. Then we have right here on the D string, hammer on, pull off 4 6 4 on the D. Then you're going to palm mute 3 times the 4th note. And then on the 5th time, you're going to pinch harmonic. You're going to play pinch harmonic on the 4, slide to 2. Gives it a nice effect. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the other half of the lead section. So as you can see, the only difference there is instead of sliding to 7, we're sliding to 12. Right? Instead of doing this, we're doing this. And here's where the variation comes in. So right after you have that hammer on to 6, you're going to palm mute 6, play 5 on the B, palm mute again on the 6. From there you're going to go on to the 7, 9, that's hammer on pull off. So that's 7, 9, 7. Then you're going to do kind of the same pattern onto the 7 to 5, just as you did on the 4, 2. Alright, now we're looking at the second riff in the song, which is a bit more mellow, a bit more calm. We have 2 chords, one of them which is already familiar to you. The first one is this one. All of these chords sound so nice and bright in this song. Okay, so here we have open note A. We have pinky on the 6th fret right here on the D string. Then we have 4 with our index finger on the G string, and then with our middle finger on the B string. 4. And then high note, open note, high E. So you start off first with the open A, then you play the full chord. From there you switch it up by inserting the lick that we learned in the previous riff, and then you move on to the yoga chord. So you play the low E4 once, then you play the other half of the chord. So the reason why this one is slightly easier is because you don't have to per se have the full bar on both the low E and A string. You can just play that one low E4, and then from the D string you play the chord. Alright, then we have a interesting, fun little lick to resolve this riff. Okay, so we are starting off with a bend release on 3 low E. Then we have 2 on the D string. From here we're sliding with our ring finger on the D string from 3 to 5. From that 5 we're going to slide onto 7. Pull off 5. And then we have a pinch harmonic on that 5 with a vibrato. Then we have right here on the G string, hammer on, pull off 4, 5, 4. And then you're going to hammer on from nowhere, meaning you're not picking the string, onto the D7. That gives you time to move up with your right hand and tap the 11th note on the A string, and you let it ring out together. It gives it a nice dissonant sound. right, we're going to take a look at the first section here. So here we're starting off with a slide onto the B string 5. We're sliding from 5 onto 7 and then back to 4, all with our index finger. Right here we have a small little legato. That's hammer on, pull off 4-5-4 on the B string, and then pull off hammer on 6-4-6 on the G. Vibrato right there at the end. Then we have the next section. Right here we're starting off with a slide onto 4 with our ring finger on the G string. Pull off the 2 right there with our index finger, and then we're going to bend like a quarter note bend on the 1, bend release. From that 1 on the G, we're playing with our middle finger 2 on the D string, and then with our pinky on the A string 4. Then slide on the D string from 2 to 4 with our index finger. From there we're jumping higher up on the fretboard onto the higher strings, slide into 9. So slide into 9, 10, 7, vibrato, 5, 7, 5. Okay, so this section is very interesting. I enjoy playing it a lot as far as the whole solo is concerned. Alright, so it's a very interesting legato mixed with sweep picking. So first we play 7 on the B string and 9 on the high E and let them ring out together. You're going to sustain the E, the note you're playing on high E, and slide into 12. So right here, after you slide into that 12, you're going to then pick 11 with your pinky. You're going to slide to 12, back to 11, slide to 12, back to 11. So we're hitting 12 twice. 1, 2, and then pull off from that 11 to 7. So once we pull off to that 7 right there, we're going to start sweep picking upwards. 10 on the B, 9 on the G, slide from 9 to 8, continue sweep picking, that's 9 on the D, and then 7 on the A, slide to 6. Vibrato. Then we have the next section. So right here we are pulling off from 4 to 2 on the A string, then you pick 2 and hammer onto 4. And then from there you're going to hammer on 2 to 4 on the D string. From there you're going to bend on the 6 on the A string fully. Now we're moving on to the hardest part of the solo. Pay close attention. Okay, so right here we have a legato tapping section. So the first 4 strings from the low E all the way to the G string, we're playing the same notes. However, we're alternating between playing 3 notes on one string and then 7 notes on the other string, then 3 notes and then 7 notes. You'll see what I mean once we take a look. Okay, so you're going to start with hammering on from nowhere, meaning you're not picking, you're just starting off with a hammer on. 9, 11. Then you're going to tap with your middle finger, or whichever finger you like to tap with, onto the 16. Okay? One tip I want to give you to make sure the strings are muted. Make sure your left hand is pretty floaty. It's pretty rounded out so you're not hammering on other notes, other strings beneath the one you're actually playing. Okay, because that's going to happen. See? Whereas if you keep it rounded, you're not hitting the bottom string. And then with your right hand, you want to slowly mute the string with your palm lightly as you're moving to the next one, okay? All right, so 9, 11, 16 on the low E. Then on the A string, 9, 11, 16, pull off 11, pull off 9, back to 11, back to 16. And that pattern on those two strings, you repeat again. And on the B string, that's when the variation comes in. That part, starting from the B string, looks like this. So right here, we're hammering on from nowhere onto 10, 12, hammer on with our, or tap with our right hand 16. And then we're going to hammer on from nowhere, 9, 11 again. Tap 16, but this time we're tapping 16 twice at a slightly higher speed. Then you're going to pull off from that second tap to 11, pull off to 9. Then you're going to slide from 9 to 11, hammer on 12. Then you're going to tap again 16 with your middle finger, slide to 17, slide back to 16. Okay, let's take a look at that slowly. Once you're sliding back to 16, you pull off to 12, pull off to 11. From there we have the following section, which is a bend on the B string 14 with a vibrato. From there you're picking high E12, bend 14 again on the B string, release, pick 12 on the B string, and then pick 14 on the G, slide away. Okay, so for this last part, we're going to start off by sliding into 2 on the D string with a hammer on onto 4. Then we're going to move on to 2, 4. From the 4, you're going to slide to 6, play 4, with a little silence or pause right in between there. From there, you have a legato section, which goes like this. We're sliding from 4 onto 5, back to 4, pull off 2. From there, we are pulling off, hammer on, 4 to 2, back to 4 on the D string. And then playing 2 again on the G. And then lastly, 4 on the low E. From there, you repeat the riff section or lick riff that we learned in earlier on in the video. Alright, so if you can follow the tabs and play the breakdown along without any problems, you can simply continue on to the final solo section of the video, or you can stick around and I can kind of give a few tips of how to kind of memorize that bit. So the first thing you want to look at the breakdown in the intro section, the middle, and the end. You repeat that twice, and the end section has a variation the second time around. So the intro part of the riff is this one. Right, so we're barring right here 4, power chord. We have palm mute twice, power chord, and then we have open note 2, 2 on the A, D, and G string, and then open note, low E, A, and D. So that's how you always start the riff or the breakdown riff. So the next part is the middle part, which you repeat 3 times. At the 3rd repetition is when the end part comes in. All right, so what you have to repeat 3 times, it's this part. So let's take a look, starting with the intro and connecting with the middle part. So right here is where we end the 3rd repetition. So what do we have from there? So that's the first end section during the 1st repetition. We have this chord right here, sounding nice and bright. So that's 2 on the low A string, D string 4 with our pinky onto the G string 6, and then having the open note low B and E playing all together. You first start off with the 2, palm mute, and then just strum along. Right here we have open note low E, palm mute, and then we have the same chord minus the 2 on the A string. So instead we have open note A, 4, 6, open note, open note. All right, so the second time around, when we end that breakdown riff, we have this. Okay, so right there we have the same chord here, and we're also shifting it to 1 fret lower, which is 1, 3, 5, instead of 2, 4, 6. Okay, so we have 2, palm mute, we have then the chord, palm mute twice, and then move on lower 1 fret, palm mute once, chord, palm mute 3 times, chord. Okay, now we're moving on to the clean section, and then we follow up with Plini's solo at the end. Okay, so if you're wondering which effect I'm using on my guitar right now, it's actually a preset created by Plini for his Neural DSP plugin, which is free to download. The preset is free to download. If you have purchased Neural DSP plugin Archetype Plini, you can download his preset and use the same setup. We're starting off right here with this chord. We have here open note low A, then we have the D string muted with our middle finger, it's a dead note. And then we have with our ring finger on the G string 16, pinky 16 on the B string, and with our index finger 12 on the high E string. From there we gently start picking the high E12, very soft attack on our pick, and then you start increasing the strength of the attack. From there we have a pull off, 16, 14 on the B. From there it's 16 on the G, 14 on the B. From there we're barring the 14th fret with our index finger. We're playing the G, B, and E string. We're adding our pinky to the B string 17. Right, so the pattern is G, B, E. From there we add our ring finger onto the 16th note on high E, and then we repeat the pattern 3 times. From there we go back to the chord in the beginning. Same little soft pick attack, Same little pull off there. From there we have hybrid picking on the 13 on the G string and with our pinky right here on the high E string 16. Then we have this chord right here. That's a 16 on the G string with our ring finger, with our pinky on the 17 B string, and with our index finger 12 on the high E. Now we are moving on to the final solo, which is Plini's solo right after the clean section. Okay, so the first part we're taking a look at of the solo is this one. Okay, so we start off with a pull off from 12 to 7 on the high E. We have 9 on the E, 9 on the B. Then we have the same pull off 12-7 on the B string. Then we have 9 on the G, 11 on the D. From that 11 you pull off to 9. From there you have this legato. Okay, so right here is very interesting. The B string, I'm not actually picking, right? So I'm just hammering on from nowhere. We start off on the A string, 7, 9, 11, pulling off. Same pattern on the D string. On the G string, we're hammering on from 8 to 9. And from there on the B string, we're not going to pick it. We're just going to hammer on from nowhere with our pinky to 12 and then pull off to 9. From there we have 11, 9 on the G. Here we have barring on the 9th fret on the D and G string, and then with 11 on the D string. We're going to slide into it. And at the last stroke, we pull off from 11 to 9. Okay, now we have the last legato stretch. It was pretty difficult, to be honest. Actually, maybe even more difficult than the Nolly solo, just because it's so low on the fretboard and Plini has very long fingers. But anyway, so let's take a look. So we start off here with open note on the low A, and then hammer on 2, 4, 6. From there on the D string we hammer on pull off 2, 4, 2. From there you repeat the same pattern on the A string. On the B string we're going to pick 2, hammer on 6, pull off to 4, sustain it, and then pull off to 2. From there we have the legato stretch. Okay, so we're starting off on the A string, open note 2, 4, 6, hammer on legato. From there we have the pattern on the D string, 2, hammer on 6, pull off 2, hammer on 4. You repeat that pattern on the G string. On the B string you have the following. You're going to pick 2 on the B string, hammer on to 5, pull off from that 5 to open note A, hammer on 2, slide to 7, hammer on 9. And then with your middle finger, for me it's easier access, we slide onto 16 on the high E. Now for the last part. So right here we just ended right on the slide on the 16. You're going to play 14, 12, 14 on the high E string. And then you follow up with 12 on the high E, 14, 12 on the B, then back to 12 on the high E, 14 B, slight quarter note bend release on the B string 14, slide onto 16 on the G, slide to 14, slide into 9, go to 4 on the G string, bend release, quarter note bend. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. I poured a lot of time and effort into completing the lesson for the full song, both rhythm, leads and clean sections, so there's a lot of material to go through. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by hitting that like button. Let me know what you think in the comments and be sure to subscribe. I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.